Hey y'all. A couple of days back, two of the biggest toy companies in the world, Hasbro and Mattel, lowered their sales outlooks for the fourth quarter amid a tough retail environment, warning their stockholders of a weak 2023 holiday season ahead of them, indicating that consumers are being frugal moving into the most important period for retailers. This led to a shocking crash in the stock value of both toy giants, with Mattel's stock value crashing down to the value it had before Barbie the movie was even released, and Hasbro falling even harder, with the stock seeing an 80% decline in value over a 6-month period. While you might think to yourself it's stupid of Hasbro and Mattel to say they're doing worse than they had predicted, thus leading to a decline in their value at the stock market, it is mandatory for them to do so. Companies have to be upfront and honest to their stockholders, as pretending they're doing better than they actually are to retain the value of their stock is considered a criminal offense. In this video, I'm going to be discussing the ripple effect this toy industry crash is going to have on us consumers, and what my personal predictions are when it comes to the fate and future of modern-day fashion doll brands such as Barbie, Bratz, Rainbow High, Monster High, and LOL Surprise, so stay tuned. The COVID years had been good to both Mattel and Hasbro. Lockdown, families spending more time with their children indoors, having more disposable income at hand, no wars shaking the economy, inflation rates still being kept at bay. All these factors led to a healthy couple of years for the entirety of the toy industry, from 2020 to 2022. But now that 2023 comes to a close, the industry is seeing a downturn in sales amidst a shaky economy and a constant stream of crises, from cost of living to housing crisis, a big recession, wars, and global warming having us all in a chokehold, paralyzed to spend a penny more than is necessary. Household budgets appear to be tightening as rising interest rates make it more expensive to buy things. Wall Street is clearly concerned that Mattel benefited from a one-time bump in Barbie sales, coming of a successful movie launch in the quarter that won't repeat going forward. But why did Mattel have to adjust its forecast despite good earnings for Barbie? Well, it was the American Girl segment of dolls that saw 8 consecutive quarters of decline in gross billings, dragging down the success of Barbie with it. It's safe to say that Mattel has set its sight on big bucks that can be made at the box office, and turning their intellectual properties into events and diversifying them into lifestyle brands that can also sell merch from apparel to home decor. But what about MGA Entertainment and all of this? Along with Hasbro and Mattel, MGA Entertainment is another big player in the toy industry. But as MGA is a family-owned business, there isn't a whole lot of information we can gather when it comes to the sales of their LOL Surprise and Rainbow High as well as Bratz doll lines. But the shift in direction for some of their brands leads me to believe that all's not well within the company. I think it's starting to feel like they're shifting the current brands away from fashion play to focus more on a younger audience. The surprising release of those LOL Surprise Magic flyers come to mind, which is just a knockoff of the Hatchimals Pixies flyers that were big in 2020. There's also rumblings going around about a soft reboot of Rainbow High, where the brand is going to go back to its Rainbow Surprise roots and include more slime and glitter play instead of fashion play in the products, which again is very 5 years ago, I feel. So how's that for an argument that the golden age is sadly over? Well, leaders don't follow. When we're knee-deep in the golden age, leaders are able to innovate and push the market forward with ideas. But when the leader and innovator starts to struggle, it's truly over for all of us. And MGA was the leader in bringing back dolls, hair play as well as fashion play, with OMG and Rainbow High. And seeing them struggle shows that the market is changing, the market is shifting, and this shift means bad news for us fashion doll collectors. I feel like with what we're seeing with Magic Mixies Pixings as well, we're moving back to the dark ages with an emphasis on the surprise element for play, and dolls being more static miniature figurines than a blank canvas to put fashions onto. Which is all to say that it's not necessarily meant negatively, it's just not my cup of tea, and it pushes dolls into more of a juvenile direction, and that is what I feel like is the biggest giveaway as to why we're experiencing a shift. So why is the golden age over? I think we're seeing a great divide happen in terms of the target demographics for dolls. Playline dolls used to target different age demographics, starting at 3+ years old, 5+ years old, and then moving on to 7+ years old. Mattel deciding to axe Barbie extra was already the first hint at Team Barbie thinking the 7+ years old demographic for dolls is dead for them, at least within the Barbie brand. They do not have the appeal for the demographic of 7+ years old, as they are already savvy enough to know what's cool and what's hip, and Barbie to them might not longer have that appeal that it had when they were 3 or 5 years old. Now Mattel used to have its very own designated division for girl and boy toys with their own set budget. Now those good times are long over and Mattel consolidated its division into one unit. Therefore Barbie has to share her budget with all other brands as well, which means that any success she might experience is offset by the failure of others. It is a red flag that despite strong sales in the Barbie franchise, Mattel didn't raise its full-year revenue outlook. I think Mattel has tons more faith in Monster High as the fashion doll brand for the 7+ year old target demographic. I believe part of the reason why Barbie Extra was axed was to free up budget for the ghouls. It's no wonder that, moving forward, they give all of their Monster High dolls saran hair and push out a new release after another. They listen to fan feedback there and actually apply it to the product, which is very surprising coming from Mattel, but also shows how much they have at stake here. As they're starting to invest more money into Monster High, they also want to see a return on investment. And MGA's decision to morph their brand into featuring more juvenile play features and design decisions to me also symbolizes how they don't have faith in the 7+ years old target demographic anymore. But why is that? I feel like children just stop playing with toys at a younger and younger age. We're moving towards Generation iPad. Even McDonald's has started to opt out of ball pits and playground, setting up their bounce pad tablets in store to keep children glued to a screen. The toy industry has broadly been in a secular decline throughout all of the 2010s. Mattel's shares are down about 60% over the last decade. What's happening here isn't a shocking development though. It's always been the case ever since we got video game consoles in the 90s like Nintendo and PlayStation. The times when children continued playing with their Barbie dolls well into their teenage years at 13 to 15 years old were more or less over then already. We also saw Mattel, for example, starting to lose faith with the current split of 3 demographic age groups, wanting to target an even younger 2+ years old demographic with their My First Barbie line, which ended up becoming a very costly failure for them, sadly, as the only places I saw them end up at were bargain bins, despite being almost the most high quality playline product we've had on Barbie shelves. So what's there for companies to do? Divide the doll segments into dolls catering to very young children no younger than 3, no older than 5, and have the other segments be catered to adults. Which brings us now to what I think might be the saving grace for us all and the big hope I'm having for next year, and that is Bratz is returning to Playline. There are tons of rumors and rumblings about how MGA took away the most talented designers from LOL Surprise OMG and Rainbow High to work on the Playline comeback of Bratz. We seem to be finally getting what we've been waiting for years. Designer collaborations and reproductions were cute and all, but fans wanted to see what the Bratz brand would look like in 2023, and all signs are hinting towards the comeback as a Playline fashion doll brand going to be a big success. So it could very well be that for us adult fans and lovers of fashion dolls, the return of Bratz as a Playline doll line on toy shelves is exactly what we need to keep us fed. When it comes to Barbie though, and it pains me to say this, but right now, the people who are in charge at Mattel, I feel like she's a lost cause. Mattel used to have people on board who were ruthlessly defensive of Barbie, loved Barbie, and loved the job in toy design and being part of the toy industry. And they truly had a fire and passion for creating the best possible product to conquer the world. And conquer it they did. Who are now in charge of Barbie are more or less talentless hacks who didn't make it in their desired field of expertise, so they ended up here. People who would much rather right the supposed wrongs of their forefathers by completely deconstructing the entire identity of the product so that it doesn't even resemble the original world-conquering multi-billion-dollar seller in the slightest. And people who have absolutely no idea what they're doing, therefore tanking the stock value of the company as well as putting the entirety of the company in jeopardy. thinking they're better off selling ideas than to sell toys. Going back to Mickey D's, imagine McDonald's saying they won't serve burger and fries from now on. Just imagine. I know I spilled, but right now I feel like, especially for longtime fans of the brands, it's best to just accept the current situation Barbie's in. So I don't see a change for it happening anytime in the foreseeable future, so it'll just spare us from becoming disappointed more and more with every recurring release. So that about wraps it up for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like. If you thought this video was trash, leave a dislike, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and I might be seeing you in my next video. Bye for now.